I'm the fastest 7-year-old in the nation. I work hard and I have a lot of gold medals. I'm the cutaway and I like to run super fast.
I started coaching Dakota 2 years ago. She's competitive. At this level, you have to run 8 and under. If you're 6 and
A 5-year-old girl who looks like she is on a casual jog just lapped adults who have been running for decades. An 8-year-old boy walked off a national record performance as if he had just come back from the refrigerator. No celebration, no collapse. Just walked off the track like nothing happened. And then there is a 6-year-old girl who ran an 800-meter race with a tactical plan that most collegiate athletes are still trying to figure out. These are not just fast kids. These are kids who run with a composure and an intelligence that the sport of sprinting does not have a framework for yet. Let us start with Victor Jaimez Solorio, 8 years old, Apple Valley, California. Before Victor showed up to the 2019 AAU Junior Olympic Games at BB&T Stadium in Greensboro, North Carolina, the national record for boys 8 and under in the 1,500 meters had stood at 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Victor ran 5 minutes, 7.14 seconds. That is 11 seconds faster than any boy his age had ever run that distance in American history. In elite sprinting, a tenth of a second separates medalists. Victor took 11 of them off a national record at 8 years old. He came out front from the gun and stayed there the entire race without looking back once. The announcer was already telling the crowd they were on record pace before Victor had even finished his second lap. And when he crossed the finish line, he did not fall. He did not gasp. He walked off the track casually as if he had just stepped out to get something from the kitchen. But the 1,500 is only half of what Victor did at that meet. He had already won the 800 meters, running 2:30.47, hanging back through most of the race and then detonating from 180 meters out, laying waste to the entire field in the final stretch. And he also won the 400 meters, 3 events, 3 national titles, all at 8 years old. Any one of those performances on its own would be extraordinary. All 3 at the same meet is something the sport genuinely does not have a comparison for. What separates Victor from simply being a fast child is the tactical intelligence. In the 800, he conserved energy, waited, and kicked with 180 meters left. In the 1,500, he led from the front, paced himself beautifully, and still had enough left to sprint the final 100 meters. The ability to switch race strategies between events is something most collegiate distance runners are still developing in their 3rd or 4th year of competition. Victor had it at 8. That is not something you coach into a child in a few months. That is a kind of running intelligence that belongs to a much older athlete. By age 11, Victor had collected 3 consecutive national records across 3 separate age groups in the 1,500 meters, the 8 and under, the 9-year-old, and the 10-year-old. When he finally got the 3,000 meters at 11, it was his very first attempt at the distance. He went head-to-head with Patricio Pardo of Bethesda, Maryland, last year's silver medalist in the 1,500, trading the lead back and forth for nearly 10 full minutes. Pardo broke away with 1 lap remaining and won in 9:48.26, breaking a national record that had stood for 19 years by nearly 7 full seconds. Victor pushed him to that time. That is not a story about losing. That is a signal. Now, Legla Harriet, Atlanta, Georgia, 5 years old. Her mother ran track. Her father was a 6'7" basketball player. But genetics do not fully explain what happened on that indoor track. The previous meet record in the girls' 5-year-old 400 meters was 1 minute 27.92. Legla ran 1 minute 23.54, breaking it by more than 4 seconds. Her arm swing was locked in from the first stride. Her head was still throughout. Her pace held from start to finish without wavering. She ran the entire 400 meters relaxed, which is one of the most technically difficult skills in sprinting at any level. Coaches spend years trying to teach athletes to stay loose while running at full effort. Legla had it at 5 without being told. She crossed the finish line with a 10-second margin on the nearest competitor and looked like she could go around again. She was not even running hard. That is what makes her ceiling genuinely difficult to calculate. And her mother confirmed something important. Legla does not train constantly. The family deliberately keeps her schedule balanced. She plays lacrosse. She still lives a normal kid's life. She chose the sport herself after watching a track meet on television one evening and telling her mother she wanted to try it. Nobody pushed her onto a track. A child who chooses the sport is a different kind of athlete from a child who is placed in it. At 5 years old, training light, breaking a meet record by 4 seconds, and barely looking like she was trying. The room her times have to drop is almost uncomfortable to think about. Then there is the 6-year-old girls' 800 meters. 8 girls stepped onto the line, all of them 6 years old. The first 200 meters was run in approximately 40 seconds, and the announcer flagged immediately they were on meet record pace. At that speed from a group of 6-year-olds, you would expect the second lap to fall apart. It did not. Gracie Gonzalez and her teammate Irving went back and forth for the entire race. Lead changes, surges, responses. They pushed each other the way senior competitors push each other in championship finals. Gonzalez crossed the line in 3 minutes, 1.71 seconds. Irving finished right behind her. Both broke the old meet record of 3 minutes, 6.50 seconds set in 2018 by Neela Cochran. A 13-year-old competitive runner said she felt devastated because her own 800-meter personal best was not far ahead of what these 6-year-olds ran. A Marine with a near-perfect fitness score admitted these kids would beat him. That gap is not amusing. It is just the reality of what was on the track that day. And Gonzalez did not go out reckless. She read the race as it developed, responded every time Irving surged, and executed a plan under pressure. That is the detail that defines her. A 6-year-old with a race plan who used it correctly in real time. They pushed each other the way senior competitors push each other in championship finals. Gonzalez crossed the line in 3 minutes, 1.71 seconds. Irving finished right behind her. Both broke the old meet record of 3 minutes, 6.50 seconds set in 2018 by Neela Cochran. A 13-year-old competitive runner said she felt devastated because her own 800-meter personal best was not far ahead of what these 6-year-olds ran. A Marine with a near-perfect fitness score admitted these kids would beat him. That gap is not amusing. It is just the reality of what was on the track that day. And Gonzalez did not go out reckless. She read the race as it developed, responded every time Irving surged, and executed a plan under pressure. That is the detail that defines her. A 6-year-old with a race plan who used it correctly in real time. None of this can be said without saying the other thing clearly. The concern is real, and it is not small. Bones and joints at these ages are still developing. Kids who dominate at 8 are sometimes gone by 16. Burnout sets in. The psychological weight of public failure at an age when identity is still forming can do permanent damage. One parent shared the story of a son who had a single bad race at 10 years old in a stadium full of people and never ran competitively again. The humiliation embedded itself. The boy lost trust in his coach, and he walked away from the sport entirely. That story is not unusual. These concerns do not erase the talent, but they place a serious responsibility on every adult in these athletes' lives. The pressure cannot be external. The joy has to stay at the center. Layla's mother understood this. Victor said after winning 3 national titles at 8 years old that he just came out to run. That is the only answer that matters. The 2032 Los Angeles Olympics. Victor Jaimez Solorio will be 21. Layla Harriet will be 17. Gracie Gonzalez will be 17. These are not projections built from hope. These are straight lines drawn from performances that already exist on a results sheet. Victor is not tracking toward good. He is tracking toward something the sport does not have a name for yet. The talent is already on the track. It has been there since these kids were 5 and 6 and 8 years old. The only question now is what the adults around them do with it. So tell me, Victor Jaimez Solorio, Layla Harriet, Gracie Gonzalez, which one of these names ends up in an Olympic final? And which one gets there first? Drop it in the comments. Every comment gets read.